this. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to go to the City of Davis census page and just compare that with housing affordability standards. And those standards are weird. There's federal standards, there's state standards, there's local standards, but usually they are based off of some measure of income for that area. Okay, now there's also something called federal poverty level, which seems to be totally unrelated to affordable housing standard rules. There are two separate systems. So we would think, oh, there's a thing called a poverty level. That's got to be what affordable living. No, they've got nothing to do with each other. Okay? And so you'll need to look at this. And you can even key on affordability for City of Davis. Okay? And then just make a short document. It doesn't have to be as long as those other ones. Okay, but you'll input some data that seems interesting to you, and you'll do a comparison. And my hope is that everybody kind of maybe picks on different census data to input, and we get something that we can really kind of crowdsource this research with. Okay? So that's a little bit about the City of Davis. Then I want you to look at the gallery of GIS maps. Look at the traffic data maps and find bike paths. Open the one called Space Data Map and look for open spaces owned by the city. And then add some images from your search to your thing here, and make the goal is to put this all in one document. Keep adding to this document. Okay, so we've got census data, we have some maps, and then we'll use a large language model to make an executive summary of your document and copy it to the top of your research. So in other words, you'll go, okay, I just input all this, give me an executive summary, put it onto Canvas. I'll grab everybody's work and summarize it before we start doing section 2. Okay, so these are all different ways that people collaborate and do things to get your data. Okay, so let me show you. Here's the site. Here's the census data. Click. And look, population, age and sex. Race, housing, median values, building permits, median gross rent. So there's all sorts of stuff to look. Living arrangements, households, persons per household. And these are so weird. When you look at households, you should know that if it's a rental and there are 4 different students living in that rental, each of which has their own personal place where they're registered to vote, they're each a separate household. So household income is also lower. You'd go, well, wait, that house, those people each make $500. Why isn't it $2,000 for that house? It's not per house. It's a household. So these can be kind of odd, right? Health, economy, transportation, income and poverty, business is like, wow, this is not too bad. There's a lot of data. And of course, there's so much that it's like impossible to really get a story unless you're a sociology, data science person. But you can, I want you to pick around and grab some stuff and then say, compare this information with affordability standards, housing affordability standards. So you're probably going to get something in housing, in here, in economy, maybe transportation, income and poverty, maybe even in businesses if it tells you about how much money those businesses bring in. So this is just kind of a cool site, and you should know that it's there for the city of Davis. And then City of Davis GIS Gallery gives you those maps to look at. Okay, well, where were those maps that I saw those maps before. Okay, now I don't know how to undo that. There we go. Address map. Open spaces. There it is. There's open spaces. And I know I saw a traffic map. Traffic data. There's traffic data. Which other ones did I want you to do? Traffic data, open space. Okay, so there's where you find those two. Traffic data, open space. Okay? And you can just look in here and just go, view, there it is. And just kind of poke around on it so you have a little bit of an idea. Land owned, protected, land trust, just plain old land owned. Okay, and it's really interesting if you look at bike paths. See, this isn't showing all those bike paths, and like, oh, what about these things? These must be land owned, but they're not protected. And you'll see this is the area that we're talking about. Okay, they call it Frank Lloyd Wright Park, but when you look at it on Google, it's Arneson Park. Arneson Park is this little part of it. Okay, so, you look at it and you go, oh, wow, there's a fair amount of open space. And then when you look at the traffic one and look at the bike paths, you're going to see that there's like 40 or 50 feet on either side of each bike path that is owned by the city of Davis too. Okay, so this is just more just getting used to, what's going on. So you can go, oh yeah, I see this, and look, there's a fair amount of green on this thing. That's not, it's not bad for a small town to have all that much. Okay, and then again, make an executive summary about, and when you put the map in, I didn't really say it, but, annotate your images. So write something about them. This is a map, it shows. There's a lot, there's a little, it's spread out, there isn't. So you can do this. So again, everybody's will look wildly different. Okay? This is the part where everybody's stuff looks the most different for the whole class. Okay? So there we go. So that gets put in. And finally, we've got, I'll stop